Hi everyone, thank you for joining me today for another episode of Life Goes On. My name is Carrie, and this program is brought to you by Elder Circle in Grand Rapids and CSEP, the Senior Community Service Employment Program, helping those 55 and older find meaningful training and employment opportunities. Today I want to introduce the Amazing Mitzi for coming on my show. She is a local comedian storyteller, so we're about to have a lot of fun today. Thank you, Mitzi, for coming.
Thank you for having me. I came to be a storyteller, I say it. It's just happened that they're funny stories. It's something that I've done most of my life. My husband and I live out in the country, and it was about a half an hour commute either way. And some people would listen to music. I would run funny stories through my head that actually happened in my life. And one day I was challenged to be uncomfortable and do something that I secretly desired. And so I decided to host a show, and I hosted it at Hibbing Community College, and lo and behold, it was sold out and shocked me. And since then, it's just been kind of word of mouth, and here I am today. Go figure.
Sounds like fun. So, are you uncomfortable right now?
I am.
Okay, so this is totally new to you.
Never done this before.
Okay, good. I can have some fun with that. Don't worry, I've never been on stage before either, so I can understand how that could be comfortable. Like, I don't know. I always get that way too. So, how you kind of gave us a brief little preview on how, but give us a little bit more background about being here. You also mentioned that you own a business as well.
Sure. My husband and I own a nutrition club called the Wellness Club, and it's in the Gracious Shopping Center right next to Slumberland. Everybody knows us by the lime green curtains, in the window. We've been there just about 6 years now, and I've gotten to know the community, pretty well through that time. My roots are originally from this area, or as folks would say, a Kelly Laker, and if you're from Kelly Lake, you know what that means. So that was an inside joke. But yeah, we've been there and serving the community, and it's been successful. And in addition to that, I used to work in Grand Rapids, and I was the marketing director for the Miles Rife Performing Arts Center. And I've done a few other things. I've been a copywriter, just sort of a jack of all trades, love to be creative.
That's really, I can see kind of how you took off on this, but out of all the, like you said, jack of all trades that you've been able to do, was it really the running of stories in your head that kind of challenged you, or as a kid, were you ever one to just be kind of goofy and try to make people laugh?
I love to entertain people, and I think it comes from, I really, really love people in general. I love hearing their stories. I love to connect with them and find out more than just, oh, I'm having a good day or a bad day. At our business that we have now, one of our biggest things besides serving a healthy meal is to make your day a little bit better than when you came in the door. So we're always entertaining people with jokes between my husband and I. And I do love that. I've discovered over the years that you can take any situation, no matter how ridiculous or how serious, maybe even tragic, and you can find the light in it, the brightness, the humor, if you will. And I've chosen to do that most of my life.
Okay, so if someone told you a story right now that happened to them, would you be able to find a way to twist that into something funny, or how do you go about doing that? So I actually have a very interesting example that we could try to use to see if this works.
Okay, sure, let's try.
This morning, I foster dogs. Okay. So I have this absolutely adorable Bassador, and he's a little over a year old. Funny dog. He has some personal boundary issues. I have this little white old wooden table in my kitchen, and on that table I have mason jars with the dog treats in it. I have my butter dish on it, and when the dogs are done eating, regardless if there's still food in the dish, I set them up there, because most of the times the dogs don't care. Anyways, I went upstairs because I got up at 5:30, which I normally try not to do, and I was able to enjoy some coffee, and I hear this big clashing and banging, and I run downstairs. He's got legs like this and a body like this. The table is this high, okay? He's on top of that table.
Well, let me tell you something. First of all, did you say Bassadoodle?
Bassador. So
Bassador, okay.
Basset Hound Labrador.
how does a basset hound get up on a table? That dog must have been seriously motivated for some treats, let me tell you, to get up there. I see the picture in my mind. Here's the thing, my family loves animals, and I'm sad to say, I know I'm going to get cards and letters for this, but I got voted off the island, so we always had animals. And I discovered that as much as you love your animal and maybe think that's your child, they are naughty sometimes. and I raised 2 children. I didn't want to raise another one. And so I'm just saying, you know, boundary issues. I understand that, dog, because I have boundary issues too.
Yeah. And another story is when I first got him, I had some food ready to go to a food drive. There's boxes of Jell-O in it.
Oh.
I now have a pink couch instead of a white couch.
You know, I think you just have to come to a point where you say, dogs, you gotta love them. Or not, in my case, but no, I understand. Animals are something hilarious. We've had a few animal stories ourselves. I'll tell you this, we had a dog that was aging and had arthritis and was no longer running. And don't judge America, but we did not have him neutered, okay? But he didn't run anymore because he was old and he had arthritis. So my husband decided to give him joint supplementation without telling me. And we didn't have to put the dog on the runner anymore because he just laid around. Well, we both went to work and the dog impregnated a purebred 2 miles down the road. And lo and behold, the man came to our house and said, your dog did this. And I go, no, our dog is too old. It has arthritis. It doesn't even leave the yard. It was winter time. And he said, I backtracked the tracks all the way to your house. And so you kind of, you know, I looked at my husband and went, what? He goes, well, I've been giving him joint arthritis supplementation. Go figure, you know. And now here we have a purebred dog that has 8 puppies that we get to help disperse.
So note to self, joint supplementation does more than just the joint.
It does work. It shocked me. It really shocked me, actually.
Oh, that's too funny. Okay, so today's topic has, as people might kind of figured out by now, kind of have to do with laughter.
Yes.
Okay, so scientifically, what do you know that laughter does to you physically, mentally, emotionally? What kind of stuff do you know about that you can tell us about?
You know, a few things, actually. I know that when you laugh, it can relieve stress. Or if you're in a difficult situation and there's a lot of tension, if you can find the humor or find a way to laugh, it can relieve that stress or dispel that tense situation. I know that it's great for your immune system because it can release some antibodies that helps boost your immune system and fight off disease. I know, again, if you have a high stress job, if you can find a way to laugh, you'll find, especially if you're at a desk, if your shoulders are up to your ears, that maybe they'll be down if you can have a good 5-10 minute laugh. And I'm not talking just the ha ha, you know, ha ha. I'm talking belly laugh.
The belly
laugh. And let's be honest, if you have a good 5-minute belly laugh, you have just had an ab workout for the day.
I was just going to say, that's a really good ab workout. I've laughed like that before, and your stomach just like...
Yes, and face muscles too, same thing. You know, you get a workout with your face muscles.
You know, they have those little mouth thingies that you can exercise your mouth so that way you don't get little saggies on your face. I think laughter would be much better than those little mouth exercisers.
Absolutely. You know, I would say emotionally, if you struggle with depression or if you have a tendency to not always see the bright side of life, if you can find a way to have joy or laughter, it can alleviate some of that, or if not dispel it. I will say the biggest thing for me for laughter is this: it can change your perspective, not just in your situation, but perhaps in your whole life. I find, you know, I'm a plus size girl, so I face all kinds of situations, and there's been times where you can choose to cry because you're in a situation, or you can choose to find the humor in it. And over the years, I've chosen to find the humor, which is, frankly, a huge part of my storytelling and my routines, is that I chose to look at a situation in a funny, humorous way. And I think you become fearless then. So I choose to, what I call it, be a dork. Because if I'm not afraid to be a dork, then perhaps you feel more comfortable letting go and being you too.
Yeah, there's a couple of phrases that come to mind that I'm sure everyone has heard for so many times. Laughter is the best medicine.
Yes.
And laugh in the face of fear. I think that comes from like The Lion King, if I remember right. Little Simba says, "I laugh at fear," or something like that. And he goes, "Ha ha 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 ha."
Yes. I personally laugh when people get injured. It's a nervous reaction, and it's not always the most pleasant thing for the other person, but it works for me. I'm just going to say that right now. My daughter is humiliated that I do that.
I have done that. I can see myself having done that several times myself, so I understand that one completely. Anything else a little bit about that whole?
Well, I can tell you that if you find a way to find humor, it's easier to face your fear. I know for me, doing my first comedy show and then finding out that it was sold out, I thought I was going to pass out. I couldn't hardly catch my breath. And as I was being introduced and I'm standing in the wings to go on stage, okay, and you'll understand this if you're over 50, I thought that I had cows in the barn, if you understand what I'm saying, bats in the cave. And so I asked my assistant to please get me my Kleenex, which was in the basement. And I'm like running because literally I have 15 to 20 seconds before I have to go on stage. And I'm looking, I'm like, I'm okay. I got this. I'm good. She comes upstairs with a little Kleenex, plastic clean, those little miniature Kleenex things. And I go to open it and my hand is literally shaking like this. And I was stunned. I looked at it. I looked at my husband who was standing there and I thought, no, I'm not going to go on. I can't do it. And he literally just, he quietly grabs that little thing, opens it, hands me the tissue, and gently pushes me onto the stage. And I got out there 20 seconds later, not a problem. But that minute before I went on stage, I thought, I can't do this. And then you realize now after the fact, how funny was that moment when I thought I got it and my hand was shaking uncontrollably.
Oh yeah, I can about imagine that. There's situations where I can think that, and being on the show, I just started the show last June. Never been on TV. As I mentioned, I've done radio a few times, and that's a little less intimidating. You don't have bright lights and whatever not to really get you heart pounding or anything like that, and you're just talking into a mic and easily to, erase and redo kind of a thing. But, I understand that kind of a little bit of your heart's pounding kind of thing. Okay, so let's have some fun. Let's just laugh and be goofy. It goes away. That intense shaking it goes away. So.
And people will go on that journey with you. If you just toss it to the wind and be fearless, I discovered that people feed off that. And I was shocked that they thought I was funny because it was just telling stories, but you tell it in a fearless way.
Yeah. Okay. All right, for those of you who are just joining my show, I have the Miss Amazing Mitzi on, and she's a comedian storyteller. So up next, you can, about 10 minutes, how's that sound, about giving us a mini preview of what one of your shows will look like. So you can have the stage right now.
Sure, absolutely. I find that there are literally two different kinds of people on this planet. Those who are observers and those who are participants. Now, my husband is an observer and I am a participant in life. And I'm going to give you a few examples of what that looks like. For example, we are phenomenal.
Is it okay that you tease him on TV?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
All of this is pre-husband approved.
Okay,
trust me.
good.
Mm-hmm. we love the Vikings. We love the Minnesota Vikings. My heart, honest to God, I don't know if I can take it one more year, but I'm going for it. But here's what happens. My husband will sit and watch the game and analyze the plays and talk about that. And I watch for maybe 5 minutes. And if it's a close game, I will then get up and go to another part of the house and begin doing housework because I can't take the pressure of watching the game, but I will holler every 30 seconds or so, "What's going on? Tell me, give me an update. What happened?" And if his voice raises at all, then I rush back into the room, look at the score, scream with him, jump up and down, I'm the cheerleader, then I can't take the pressure and I leave the room. And so basically Sunday afternoons, my entire house gets cleaned because of the Minnesota Vikings. That's
Vikings.
That's right. So he analyzes and I participate. I'm a Minnesota Vikings cheerleader. Unless I'm crying, and it's particularly bad when they're playing the Packers. But another way is when when we watch movies. It was a few years ago, actually it was a lot of years ago, let's be honest, when the movie Braveheart came out and first came on television. Well, that's a really long movie. And my husband and I, on our date night, sat at home and watched the entire movie. And he was analyzing how they staged the fight scenes. And I was literally in the movie, crying, shouting, just weeping and gnashing of teeth. And then, of course, the movie, spoiler alert, ends a little tragically. And my husband was done. When the movie was done, he was done. And he made the mistake, because it was fairly early on in our marriage, of shutting off the TV. And I was sobbing so hard that I couldn't even speak. And then I looked at him and I said, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "Well, the movie's done. I just shut off the TV." And I said, "No, you have to wait for the credits to be done. I need closure here." And so that's, my husband, an observer, and me, a participant. Before my husband and I got married, we were both athletes. We played a lot of volleyball. I coached it. He did too. But when our children became athletes, then we had to ride the pine and watch them. And I could hardly stand it. And I would elbow people and hit them next to me because I couldn't stand it. Dave would analyze the game, and I would scream and hit people. And I've hit him so many times in a game that he literally will move away, so I can't. I've almost dislocated my arms swinging and hitting air before. And so when we attend an athletic event, to this day, this is considered my locked and loaded position, because it's very difficult to pull my hands apart to hit somebody. And the reason how this position came out was in the middle of one of my son's basketball games. It was a very exciting game, and I went to swing and hit my husband, and he wasn't there. So I hauled off and slapped a balding elderly man on the top of the head in front of me. Now, one could think that a lawsuit was going to happen, but he was such a fan of the school that he turned around and we became fast friends, and he allowed me to sit by him every home game for the rest of the year because of that. But then again, my husband analyzing, I am one with the sport. I was literally on the court. So those are some of the things when you say observer in life and participant in life. I believe when you go to see a feature film at a movie that you don't just observe it. I'm not Minnesota nice when I go. I am shouting at the screen. I am singing Mamma Mia. I'm sure I went when I saw that movie. People went deaf around me because I sang every song that they had, because I'm a big fan of ABBA. Things like that. So you have to be a certain kind of person to take me to a movie, because observers have a tendency to want to sit in different rows than me. But other people who are participants, well, we just create a gang and traumatize others is what happens. And just so you know, I will be going to the movies for the next few weeks, because that's our date night on Tuesday. And so if you see me there at the Hibbing Theater, just know there's loud noises. It's me being my participant self. I know that in addition to being an observer and a participant in life, we've had so many things happen at our business, and one of them is as a plus size woman, I've learned that fashion is a very unique thing when you're plus size, because a lot of times they make clothes bigger, but they don't make them to maybe longer or to fit you. And we had an interesting experience one time at the club. I had bought a pair of jeans. And at that time, low-rise jeans were in style. And I am a woman who should never wear a pair of low-rise jeans, because other people have muffin tops and I have a mushroom cloud. And so I say no to low-rise jeans for women of my size. But I did something that I'd never done before in my whole life, and that was, and this might be a little too much information for some folks, I decided that I was going to bless myself and buy silky underwear. I had worn cotton underwear my whole life, and I decided to buy silky underwear. I did not talk to the thin women who understood that you can't wear silky underwear with low-rise jeans. So I, of course, did that. And I mooned the first woman of the day that we served breakfast to, a 72-year-old woman. I turned to get her tea, and my pants dropped. And so the whole day I'm having to walk bow-legged. And we decided to call that Sexy Thursday at the club because it was touch or go whether you were going to see my new underwear or not. And those are just some of the things, some of the little stories that have literally happened in life that I just take a little different take on it. You know, I could have rushed out embarrassed or ashamed, and you know, what is that going to do? So we embraced it, called it Sexy Thursday, and we had a ball with it.
What'd that poor lady think?
She loved it. I apologized, and she came every single morning. She loved it. We became fast friends because she saw my silky underwear.
Well, very good. Very good. Yeah. Okay. We have time for just a couple more stories. If you could give us a taste of a
couple
few
more stories.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sure. Okay. Now again, this might be a little TMI again, but these are all true stories I'm telling you. I've noticed that as you age, there are things that your body just happens and you don't plan on it. Like I know now that I'm 50. First of all, I did not know that when you turn 50, you get an AARP mailing. I was kind of shocked, and I wasn't sure whether I should be impressed that I could use the discounts or insulted because I didn't think I was that old. You know, so it's kind of a perspective there. But I've noticed that, you know, as a woman who's given birth, your bladder is not the same. And as I age, the weather dictates, you know, how often I have to use the facilities. It isn't my body. Is it cold out? Well, you know, that's going to happen. I noticed that the weather also dictates whether I want to get up and move or not. If you have joints that are achy, or maybe you have some arthritis, and you just, you know, you decide that that's not going to happen. I'm not going to let that. But I have decided to find the humor in that, and I decided to exercise. I decided I was going to work out for 90 days with the trainer. And the first thing I did before I started to work out with the trainer was I did a Zumba class. And this woman, I did not know a hind end could move like that when she danced. I was enthralled. I was staring. I was like, there's no way I can do that. Well, this class was full of like 30, 35 people, and they were all thin. And nobody would go to the front and let me be at the back. And so I had to go to the front of the room. And I was a little bitter, I'm going to be honest with you. That's etiquette, thin people, is the heavy girl gets to stay in the back. Well, then I see her moving, and there's no way I can keep up with her. Thank God she had grace and mercy. And she said, and here is the low impact move. I'm like, okay, because I'm prepared to meet Jesus about this time because I'm breathing so heavy. There was this other woman who was my age, and after about 5 minutes, you know, she was quite a bit thinner, and she's breathing heavy, and I'm feeling good because I'm breathing heavy. And I was like, that was good. You know, I'm thinking we're done. That was a water break. You know, and I didn't know, but I drank my whole water bottle, and I needed another one because I did not understand how much you sweat during those things. So I did the very best I could. I survived the whole thing. And then, because the class was so full, she decided that she was going to have a group picture. And she wanted us all to do a plank. You know, and I thought, she clearly doesn't understand that I can't do a plank. And so everybody gets down in the plank position, and we're all in this big semicircle. And so I thought, I'll show you. I get down into the plank position, and she's fussing with her camera, and people had to stop holding the plank because it was taking too long. I held my plank, and they were kind of looking at me like, there's the big girl, she's holding her plank, and pretty soon people are cheering you on like, you go, girl.
All right.
I'm like, darn tootin', I got this plank. And then they take the picture, and we're all done, and somebody said, I'm amazed at how strong you are. And I go, oh, it was no problem. My belly was on the ground the whole time. You know, no, I could outplank you any day, you know. And so those are some of the things.
Benefit.
I know. So it's like, again, you can be embarrassed or embrace it and go, watch this. And that's what I choose to do.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. So, okay, is there anything specific as in closing that you would like to talk to our audience about?
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to say that you always have a choice whatever situation that you're in the perspective that you look at it. I would just like to encourage folks to choose laughter, to choose joy, to look at the funny side of it. It'll help you get through it better. And then if you're ever interested in checking me out or coming to one of my performances, I do have a Facebook page. It's called Calgaro Comedy, and you can see there's crazy photos and stuff on it, and I also list my performances. Again, I don't do much advertising, and it's mostly by word of mouth, but I just love telling stories. So if you're into that, feel free to contact me. And I just want to thank you for having me here.
Well, thank you for coming very much. So once again, you have been watching Life Goes On, brought to you by CSEP. I am currently taking enrollments, and Itasca County is full. And always remember that if you're a veteran, please contact me, talk to me about the program. We really value our vets as part of the program and want to make sure that you have the best opportunity to succeed in life. So thank you again. The most amazing Mitzi. There's too many M's. I'm going to get tongue-tied. So thank you very much for coming.
Thanks, Carrie. Thank you.